All right, the Bears are at the bye. They're 2-2. We need this team to win. I mean, for our sanity, honestly. And I'm happy they're 2-2. I'm glad they go in with a little bit of momentum. I have look. I don't think this is anything more than it is. They're 2-2, and they're still very much a work in progress.
Yes,
I don't think
are.
they're making a playoff run. I'd love to be wrong, and if they start to peak and really get good, that'll be great. But even though they're 2-2 and they won that game, and that's great, there are still a lot of holes on this football team, aren't there?
Yeah, there are. And I think that there's a lot of questions that have to be addressed and answered this week. I mean, you got to find out who your left tackle is. That's number one. I know what Ben Johnson said, that they had planned. They saw a window to get Ozzie Trapillo into the game because Darnell Wright was injured. He was not at practice yesterday. We'll see how long this elbow thing keeps him out for. But how could that not have been a benching for Braxton Jones? If it was truly, we want to get Ozzie in, then you would have had it would have happened like at the start of the third quarter, not like before a drive happened in the second quarter, where clearly Max Crosby was feasting off that left side of the offensive line. That was a problem. So Ben made no bones about this at the beginning of the season when he said we will have a starting left tackle, and it didn't seem like that was much of a ringing endorsement for Braxton Jones, because it wasn't. I am very curious to see how they play this, because if Darnell can come back for week 6 at Washington, what do you do with Ozzie Trapillo then? What do you do with Theo Benedette? Theo's preparing as if he's playing. Like, we talked to him yesterday. Like, this is somebody who, has an opportunity now and is preparing. I mean, he says he's going to play. He's preparing to play both sides. I get it, but you wouldn't be preparing to play right tackle if Darnell Wright can come back. And clearly, if Darnell Wright can't come back, that's Ozzie Trapillo's job until further notice. There's just a lot of moving parts. So that's number one. Figuring out how to get this run game going too. I know that Ben Johnson didn't really want to, put the most of the blame on DeAndre Swift. He thought he was running pretty hard, but the numbers are just not there. The yards before contact, the yards after contact, where he's getting hit behind the line of scrimmage, all those things. It was great that he was able to break through on that touchdown in the fourth quarter, but outside of that, there really hasn't been that much production from a running game that just doesn't seem to have the ability to get guys to the third level like the head coach wants to. So those are the first two. And I mean, on the defensive side of the ball, can they generate more pass rush? Where is it coming from? They hosted a bunch of workouts yesterday. Is there somebody that they would sign potentially for, believe the roster's still at 52? There might be one spot. So, what can they do, the next week or so to get this roster to a place where it can be ready to go when they have a road game coming up in Washington?
I just don't know how it gets better by signing guys off the scrap heap in October either.
It
right?
doesn't, but it's a stopgap measure.
Oof, man, in Dio, what is happening, Courtney? I mean, it's just there's zero impact.
He's a non-factor,
right? He's a non-factor.
He's a non-factor out there. He's just a body right now. Zero football awareness, zero football sense out there. It's almost shocking.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
know. He had such a good first half against Minnesota, where you're thinking, hey,
I know.
Investment was there. High ceiling player. He's young. He doesn't have the production yet, but it really hasn't. And through a month, I think that Dennis Allen, for as much as he's protected his coverage units because of the injury to Jalen Johnson, Tyreek Stevenson coming along, Ben Johnson said that interception that he had was one of the most athletic plays he's ever seen, and he's right.
Yep.
He's right. Full extension. That's Tyreek, the basketball player, and Tyreek, the football player, all in one. But they've really got to figure out what they're doing up front, because the rushing four, not blitzing a lot, that's just not going to cut it when the four that you have up front, and even the rotation, not having Grady Jarrett in there, but not getting much push on the interior, it's just not working.
What do we think about some of the guys that are eligible after the bye to come back? I mean, primarily, I guess Booker could be an option for improving that pass rush, right? And then what's up with Travis Homer? Is he eligible too?
Yeah, so he was one of the he'd be one of the other ones, I think, that was designated to return. I know that Eamon Ogbongbemiga was also on injured reserve, early on. But, there's two that they can, Booker went on before the other two went on. But 4 games in,
right?
And they were happy with Booker in camp. Before he got injured in August, the chance to bolster your pass rush, and he was playing with the twos for most of camp, to be able to get some more some more work for him, I think would be beneficial, because right now with Montez Sweat and with Dio Odengbo, it's just not happening up front. And, the options you have behind those guys, Daniel Hardy being one of them, like they're thin. They're real thin up front. So that would be one that they could benefit from. And I don't know what Travis Homer's role would be in this run game.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Is that the reason they're not playing Roshan Johnson?
And what's
right
Roshan's? Like, he doesn't have a role on this team outside of special teams, right?
That tells you what the coaching staff thinks about, him as a running back. And, his role as special teams right now, Ben was very clear about that when I think Joniak asked him like a couple weeks ago. But, the run game doesn't have, to me, that's the biggest error that they have on offense right now that they need to fix. It's just not there.
Yeah.
And maybe, but like Travis Homer wasn't part of the run game last year.
You're right.
Like, we thought, they brought this guy in from Seattle. He worked with Shane Waldron. Like, change of pace back. That's not the case. So maybe this new staff feels differently about it, but I don't know about that one.
I'm kind of with you. I know. Rome looks like he's emerging into a true star. Would you agree?
Yeah, and I think that the 5 touchdowns, like that dagger one that he had in the third quarter, that's what he and I talked to him yesterday about it. That's what he called it. That one, he fought for that one. And there have been moments where he's left some plays out there. There was the one at the goal line against the Cowboys. There was a drop in, I think it was the first game. Like, he knows he needs to be better in those moments, but he is the number one option in this offense. You have a month sample size to see where the targets are going, where Rome is being used. I mean, he can play any position, but he is your X receiver in this offense. And that's what we expected it to be, because that's where it was trending from training camp. But he's emerging into the go-to, becoming the go-to option for Caleb Williams. And I think that's a good sign for the draft strategy, where you have 2 first-round picks that can make each other better and they can grow together in that process.
Yeah. Okay, anything else for the bye week that we should know?
Definitely keep an eye. There are a couple injuries, that we're tracking. I mean, the Darnell Wright one, like, I didn't see him out there at practice yesterday, and I didn't see Jonah Jackson either. Maybe it's a precautionary thing. They do not put an injury report out during the bye week because they don't have to. But those two, like, one was a little surprising. I was wondering what happened to Jonah Jackson during the game. The other was not. I just wonder how long Darnell Wright's is not going to be able to be out there, because it does. Like, the conundrum now, as I kind of bring it back to the top of the segment, is what do they do with Ozzie Trapillo? Like, he looked okay. He got some work from Max Crosby. There's no better player to test your skills against, getting thrown into the fire for the first time. But what are they going to do? Like, are they going to, like, all of a sudden he's going to be inactive again? Or if Darnell comes back, is he just going to be a backup? Is he your swing tackle? Is Theo Benedette playing left? Like, is Braxton going to the bench? Like, to me, the offensive line now, it's kind of like they have to make a decision, because they had 4 weeks to kind of kick the can down the road, and now it's go time to figure out what this thing looks like for the next 13 games. But in addition to that, like I mentioned, injuries. So good sign. Kyler Gordon was out there yesterday. Colston Loveland was out there yesterday. So I would imagine TJ Edwards, saw him back at practice for the first time in a couple weeks since before that Detroit game. So a week off. They get back at it next Wednesday, I believe, will be the first day out there for practice. So then there'll be, a good chance to figure out who's healthy and who's going to be able to play in Washington.
All right, good stuff. Enjoy the bye week. We'll talk to you next week.